Hello, friends. This is the Doc. How you doing, guys, gals, girls from around the world, friends from around the world, friends from across the pond? I want to talk this today about the. Oh, you can see where I'm from? Michigan. Where I'm from. Mm-hmm. Proud of it. From Michigan. But I want to appeal to your intellect today. Intellect. I watch a lot of videos on YouTube, and I'm sure you do too. That's why you're watching this today. But I'm going to talk to you about the get home bag. Okay, this is my version alone. So I don't think it's set in stone, because that's what I want to talk to you about today. Too many people try to mimic other people's get home bags, which is fine. There should always be tips and suggestions from everybody's get home bags, but you know what it takes for you to get home from where you are from work. And statistically, let's do statistics. Most people generally don't travel more than within a 20-mile range of their home 90% of the given time, unless they're going on a special run for certain thing, certain trip, certain family thing. Or most of the time, it's popping back and forth between the local store, between work, between local shops, between kid activities, yada, 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 yada. It's mainly close. And here I live, which is in the suburban area of Detroit, which is disaster capital of the world here when it comes to wild people. I'm in an urban setting, and I wanted to do some series of urban videos because actually, how many people actually live off on a homestead? How many of you actually live on a farm? How many of you actually live, you know, in the woods? Most of us live in an urban setting. Now, not talking. There's a lot that lives in the city dwellings. I'm talking in the urban setting where you actually have grass to cut, trees in your yard, but you have a, like 60 by 120 lot that your home sits on, type thing, and that's an urban setting, which is the big population. I think that's just my opinion of those who probably watch the stuff on YouTube to try to figure out what to do in the circumstances that they could run into. So in urban scenarios need to be thought up or brought up to you to cause you to think and ponder. And one of them is the get home bag. Now, frankly, hold on. I'm going to be bouncing around all around here, so just hang with me for a minute. If you're trying to get home, say you're at work and you're trying to get home, you don't need this to go with you from work to home. Okay, I'll explain why in a minute. All right. Let me get that back over here where it goes. And you really don't need this to get home either. So I want you to just consider a few things that I talk about for a little bit. I won't keep you too long. I just want you to consider this. What is the purpose of a get home bag? It's in the sentence or the title. Get home. Now, I've studied disasters, and that's maybe what a lot of people should do, because, some videos, they kind of appeal to your, I don't know if you want to call it wild side or fantasy side, or, it's great. I do a lot of prepping, and I got stuff prepped for a long period of time. I'm doing the smart thing. I'm doing the wise things. Okay, I'm not being foolish. I've got the solar system, battery backup system. I've got I've got a lot of things in place for a long period of alternate. You see my videos. If not, watch my videos. You'll see what I got. Some of the stuff, and alternate ways to hunt and trap in the urban setting. Why? Because I'm in Urbania, suburbia, until I can get out to the more permanent setting. But I digress. I want to show you my uh, emergency get home back. Oh, back to the statistics. Um, Statistically, what was my statistic? Oh, that was the 20-mile range area. That's the statistic. But at the same time, too, um, you know when you leave the house and you go to work, the route that you take. You know when you leave the house to go to the grocery store, the route that you take. Because it's the same routes you generally take all the time. Okay? Now, if you stop and think, there's a lot of neighborhoods that you never go into in your local area because you don't need to. You don't know that terrain. You don't know the streets. You don't know the turns. But you do know the areas that you, on average, take all the time. I want you to keep that in mind, okay? Because it's actually the ways that you know is the way you should get back home. Now, I've been studying disasters. That's one way to learn to see what you're really going to face, okay? Now, let me just give you a couple examples. Back in the early 2000s, when the Northeast went black for 3 days, went dark, power went out, I was in that mess, okay? Here in Michigan, power was out for 3 days. But you know what did not happen during those 3 days? There was no major looting. There was no people shooting each other. There was nothing going ballistic. Why? Well, you always have bad eggs in the group. So there will always be isolated pockets of stuff going on. It goes on today. Even with no disasters going on, you got people doing bad stuff. So you can't get away from that. But if you think because something happens that there's going to be sudden murdering in the streets or sudden, people eating people's faces off, it's not going to happen. What's going to happen? The first 24, 48 at the max, 36 hours, 24, 12, 24, 36, 36. First 3 days. Everybody will be more concerned about, number one, getting home. Number two, where's their family? Is everybody okay? Number three, what's going on? You see where I'm starting to get here? 99.9% of the people will be more concerned about the people that are around them in their daily lives. Even the bad guys will be concerned about their members or their gang buddies or whatever. They'll be more concerned with that. So actually, the first 24 to 48 hours, this is my opinion. I'm sticking to it because it's mine. My mind. This is my opinion. And I'm just appealing to your intellect here, okay? The first 24 to 48 hours, people will be more concerned about getting home or getting to where they got to go or even going and getting the few things that they need. They're not going to be concerned about all the other stuff. So you actually have a 48-hour to up to 36-hour window to get home without any real major things to deal with. Probably isolated pockets, but not like the movies or what you see on TV, okay? So I'm just giving you some reality here. All right? So, with that being said, this is what I plan. You know your routes, and you know what you have to face going and coming and how far it is from work. So I want you to stop and consider that. You don't need a ton of stuff to get yourself home if you only live 3 miles away. Matter of fact, if you can hop in your car and drive home, you drive home. You're home in a couple minutes. But if you can't hop in your car and you got to hump the 3 miles or whatever, it's just 3 miles, people. It's not 300 miles going into the Andes or the Adirondacks or the Smokies or the into the Appalachians or you're not going mountain trekking to get yourself back to your house. All right, unless you live in the mountains. Now, those who live in the woods and the mountains and you know what it's going to take for you to get home. But I do say that the same route that you take every day to work, if you're at work when something happens, that needs to be the same route you take to get home because you know those areas. All right? stay in the areas you know to get home. That's what I'm saying, first and foremost. Stay in the areas you know to get home. All right? Why do you drive that way to work? Well, a lot of people drive certain ways to avoid problem areas. So you're used to that area. Take that route home. You know what gas stations are on that route. You know what stores are on that route. You know what facilities are on that route. You know everything on that route for the most part, and you'll know how to use what you need to use to get home, or get what you got to get home. Common sense, man. All right, let's move on. Time is really ticking here. I can't believe I'm at 10 minutes already. Come on, let's look at this. All right, now I'm going to have to hold this. I'm not going to be able to hold this. This is my get home bag. All right. This is actually a leather briefcase type bag. All right, with the shoulder strap. This is what I use. I don't want to use a backpack. I decided I didn't want to use a backpack because I really didn't want to have to deal with a monster on my back. I'd rather have something with a strap. That way I can make adjustments as I go when I need to go. My hands will be free. Okay. First and foremost, though, when you're carrying anything and you got to trek any distance, consider the environment on what's going to happen. Even a nice cement walk or a nice cement, paved road, and you're walking along just fine, Daddy. Well, your nerves are going to be up. You're going to be hyped up because you're not going to be able to. You might be wondering what's going on with your family, your friends, whatever. Accidents can happen. Murphy's Law. There's the first thing I recommend you do, because even when I go out in town now, I use it, is find you something you can use as a walking stick. All right? As a walking stick. Not a cane, but as a walking stick. All right? Something that's going to come up to about your shoulder height, somewhere around there. A nice stick. 2 reasons. 1, it helps you concentrate on where you're putting your feet. Okay? And number 2, it's also good, quick protection. All right? Because when things go ballistic or something happens, generally somehow dogs get out of the yard, stuff like that, you got to have something. So the stick is really a good first line of defense. Even if somebody is trying to be an idiot, you got a stick in your hand, a lot of people will back off. Okay? So this is a personal protection. So find you something that you can use as a walking stick. It eliminates, or that reduces the risk of the possibility of you twisting your ankle, okay, or tripping and slamming your knee. Okay, that's what a good is about a walking stick. It causes you to watch where you're putting your feet. Even though you're walking along, your hand is working that cane or that walking stick, and you're more apt to be aware of where your feet are. All right, just a thought. From 18-year-old to 75, if you don't need it, you still get a walking stick. Okay. Number 2. Let me show you the other line of possible defense that I carry. All right. It's only basic defense is all you really need. And this is out of just necessity. See this? All right. Pop it open. This, it's a cheap knife. It's not an expensive knife. I think I paid like 10, 15 bucks for it. But it's good. It'll cut. You don't need to carry a $250 knife just to try to get home. Just carry a cheap knife. Let me tell you why. Everything in this emergency get home bag, if somebody was to steal it out of my vehicle or steal it from my workplace, the only thing I lost is some food and some cheap equipment. Okay? Now, if you keep your pistol in your emergency get home bag, then if it gets stolen, you've lost an expensive and important piece of equipment. If you carry a machete in your emergency get home bag, okay, somebody steals your bag. See where I'm going here? Everything in your get home bag should just be to get you home. All right? This I can use for a couple different things. 1, if I have to do an emergency saw, to maybe help bust up some twigs I can't bust up with my regular hands. If I have to stop and an overnighter because I am farther out than I expected or got diverted because of disasters in the areas and had to go a long way around, then I can do that. Okay. Number two, it's got a compass. It's got a compass in the handle. See that? This is all metal. Number three, I unscrew this. Now this is a fantastic little cheap knife. It only costs like 15 bucks. Like I said, I got it at one of those gun and knife shows. I thought it was cool, and it was cheap, but I thought it was cool because of what it does. Come on, take it out with something. Hold on. I think I jammed it in there a little bit too tight. Come on, come on, come on, sweetie, come on there. You can do it. There you go. Yeah, I did it. I jammed it. All right. In this little baggie that came out of the handle. Yeah. In here is a wire that you use for on these two rings. That's a saw. I think you can see it in there. Saw to cut bigger pieces of wood if I needed to. There's also a little fishing kit in here. All right. If I need that. Just basic stuff. All right. But it's a cheapie. It's not expensive. It's cheap. Remember that. I'm the cheap with an emergency bag. Your vehicle gets stolen because you left it in there. You're not out much. You didn't lose much. You got nothing to cry over. Okay? That's what I got this for. And of course, whatever you need a blade for, you got it. Okay? For whatever. That's just basic. Not only protection, because you can always slap this on your side on your way home. People see you got a knife on your side and make you feel more comfortable knowing that they can see something. And you got your walking stick. That's all you really need for protection to get from point A to point B, okay? But you know your environment. You know your area. Go by what you think you need, not what other people think you need. That's the key. All right. Next, I'll show you some of the basic stuff. All right. One, everybody talks about flashlights. Well, I do too, because if you're on a PM shift or you're out or somewhere out in the evening or night, I don't want my hands. I want my hands left free. I don't want to have to hold a flashlight. I think a head flashlight is actually the best thing. This is God's gift to me. Okay, put it on, turn it on. Wherever you look, it looks. Your hands are free. All right. Bam. Emergency blanket. Okay, it's a Kevlar blanket. All right. Light as a feather. Not only can you use this as a poncho, but it'll put the heat back on you in case you're cold. You know, and if any of you are wondering, well, why aren't you talking about wearing the big? Why aren't you packing a heavy case, a heavy coat, and all that? If you go to work in the winter, you should be wearing that stuff already. You don't need to pack it in your emergency bag. Why ain't you showing a ton of clothes? The clothes on you, you can wear it for 2 days. It'll get you home. But you do need something to put over you if it's raining. Okay. Anyways, always one of these is good. It puts the heat back on you if you have to stop and pull an overnighter. All right. And I generally carry a few extra batteries and some matches. Always good for backup. Extra batteries, matches. I'm digging in here. I always like to carry this little kit. It's a spoon kit, a fork kit. If I have to stop and eat, we might not find McDonald's open or Big Boy, so you're going to have something like a fire starter. All right, I can always start a little fire, warm up a little bit of food that I have in my emergency kit. Stop, take a break, little drink, little vino, little food, all's good. And get up and head, keep walking. Because your number one goal, and this there too, little John Wayne can opener. That's what we used to call them in the military. John Wayne's. Little can openers. Fold up. All right, I keep that on here. On my striker. So, by my striker on my ferro rod. So, I can open cans. If I find a can of food, I can open it. Urban survival. Okay, it's not just about what you carry, it's what's around you that you can utilize. Right? And I also carry a hand one, but I carry one that I can actually put on my fingers and I can help, or I can tie it on around something and I can have this to support on something. But you always have a backup in case batteries die or you drop it, things break. And the ever Multitool, which is a little fantastic tool that's got all kinds of little bits of stuff in it. You put this in your pack, and it's universal. And a lighter. Backup. Got matches, but I also got a big lighter. Alright. And that's pretty much it for just the basic first with the eating stuff like that. You know, this is if I even have to go into this section of the bag. Hopefully, I'm close enough to home that if I'm 10 miles away, I should be able to still hump it, and because that would be your concern, and that'll be your motivation to get you home. Is that'll give you the energy you need to get you where you got to go. Now, going to this next area. I know this is kind of like a long video, but you know what? Maybe I'll put a part 2 on this. That way it doesn't tangle it up. Binoculars. Now, I like this big set, but you can get smaller sets. Okay. Number 1, when you step out of wherever you're at in an emergency situation, you don't want to just take off. You want to be able to assess what's going on ahead of you. Always assess what's going on ahead of you. That way you'll know which direction or what you got to do. Okay, so you look through the binoculars. You look as far as you can look, and you assess the area of what's going on. And you find a marker, or find a point. Something on a building, or something like that, or a street light, a street, okay? And it looks safe for you to get there, then head that way to there. Then once you get to that marker, or that street, or that building, you stop there and you assess again, okay? You never move into an area without first viewing it to make sure that there isn't obstructions or blockages, and you got to figure out how to get around, or something going on that you want to avoid. You want to try to avoid anything at all times. You want to just try to get home. You don't want to have to try to figure out how you're going to get over something, around something, but you want to just try to find the most direct, easy path to go. So binoculars help you do that. If this way's blocked, then you turn and look another way, and you assess how you're going to get around that to get back on your normal path that you know to get home. Remember that. Okay, I'm going to finish this up in a number 2 because it's getting long. So if you're interested in this, then you click on the second one. Okay. All right. Take it easy.